Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and this is your daily show. I'm your host Khalid Moeddin, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. As you know, a massive announcement happened today. Cricket Australia has announced that they have cancelled the tour to South Africa. It was supposed to be a 3-match test series, and they've cancelled it. Now, a lot of different statements came out. There's one from Cricket Australia itself, which I'm going to read to you in a bit. And then there's also some statements from Graham Smith as well as from the team doctor of the Proteas. So we're going to go through some of that and just talk to you guys about it. And I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. So if you guys want to have your say and give your opinions and let us read it out to the rest of the fans, please support us in the live chat in the bottom right of the $sign. You can click that and it will pop up and you can have your opportunity to have your say. Now, before we get going with today's show and before I read you the statement from Cricket Australia, I just want you guys to know that you should subscribe to this channel, click that notification bell for all future videos. Now, let's get into the statement first and foremost. It was something that I never expected. I don't think anybody expected. Something that South Africa don't think CSA expected it either, because as you know, they planned for the test team to come back down. And that's what they planned for. I don't think they planned to have a tour cancelled, because as you know that they picked a specific team for the T20 series to give those guys some rest when it comes to the test side. So the test side guys are going to go back to South Africa anyway. They're going to remain. It's going to remain the same. They're not going to make any changes to the T20 side. And I just want to send the link out to our teacher quickly, because I forgot to actually send it to him to come join the stream. Oops, these things happen. But I'm going to read out the statement from Cricket Australia for you guys right now, so that you can, just a part of it, so that you guys know what is going on and what Cricket Australia said about everything. So the official statement is as follows. They said, due to the public health situation in South Africa, which includes a second wave and a new variant of the virus, and following extensive due diligence with medical experts, it has become clear that traveling from Australia to South Africa at this current time poses an unacceptable level of health and safety risk to our players, support staff, and the community. We acknowledge the significant amount of work CSA did in the planning for the tour, during which we made it clear that Cricket Australia was prepared to take an additional cost and effort to make the series happen. This decision has not been taken lightly, and we are extremely disappointed, especially given the importance of the continuing international cricket at this time, our valued relationship with CSA, and our aspirations to compete in the inaugural ICC World Test Championship. However, we have been consistent. However, we have been consistent since the start of the pandemic that the health and safety of our people is always our number one priority. And unfortunately, despite best efforts to agree the biosecurity plan, the risks are simply too great at this particular time. Now, I want to talk about that a bit, and I think that when we start speaking about what South Africa said, what the team doctor had to say, what Graham Smith had to say, we'll try to digest everything as a whole. But before we do that, I'm going to bring Aditya to the stream. Sorry, I didn't send you to the link, Aditya. I forgot
No worries.
I thought I sent it to you earlier. Apologies.
No worries.
So yeah, first and foremost, Cricket Australia obviously coming to us and telling us that that's the case. They obviously released that statement on Twitter initially, and it went absolutely viral. Of course, a lot of people were upset. When you initially saw the statement, before you heard what Graham said, and before we played the clips of Graham and the team doctor, what was your initial thoughts of the statement? Were you surprised?
Not really, to be perfectly honest. I'd say that mainly not because of COVID reasons or because of the COVID protocols that were set in place. I think it was fairly obvious that that the series with Australia would have more stringent biosecurity protocols than any other series. To me, this entire issue is logistical, and Cricket Australia fears that if a player, South African or Australian, tests positive on tour in South Africa, it's going to be a massive challenge to bring them back to Australia. So I don't think Cricket Australia would have had complaints with the extent to which Cricket South Africa were managing the biosecurity environment. And I also don't think that they really worried about COVID too much, because a lot of these Aussie players played in the IPL as well. And after the Chennai Super Kings had 10 or 11 positive cases, I don't remember hearing from a single Australian player expressing concern. But I guess in that case, it was an individual decision, whereas in this case, it's more of a board decision because they were national duty.
Yeah.
So I can't say I'm entirely surprised, but it's more to do with the Australian logistics as opposed to Cricket South Africa.
Yeah, so Dr. Shoaib Manjara obviously spoke about it, and he said basically he released everything that they were going to do to ensure that this could be a safe tour. Now, when you guys listen to this particular clip, you're going to feel quite safe sitting in your house. You're going to be like, I want to be a part of this particular situation. So here's what he had to say, because in his opinion, he ticked all the boxes. Cricket South Africa ticked all the boxes to make Cricket Australia feel secure.
We've come off the back of two previous experiences of biosecure environments. The first was the England tour and the second was the Sri Lankan tour. So we've learned a number of lessons from both of them, and we've engaged with Cricket Australia over a period of a few weeks in terms of what their requirements were. Their requirements were far more stringent than any of the other previous kind of BSCs we've had, and therefore we kind of reconfigured the BSC environment for the Australians. Now, some of the things which were very different to what we've had previously was all of these hotels that the Australians were going to use and that we were going to use were going to shut down for 14 days prior to the entry of both teams. So that means that the staff, for example, at the Irene Country Lodge, where the Australians were going to live, was going to shut down for 14 days. All of the hotel staff who were going to service that biosecure environment were going to be confined to their rooms for a period of 14 days. Their meals were going to be eaten in their rooms and delivered to their door by fully clad staff in PPE. So just gives you an idea in terms of the biosecure environment, how much more stringent it was going to be. And during that period, we were going to test staff on a regular basis. And when the Australians arrived here, everybody within the BSC was going to be tested every 3 days. Now, again, this is already a huge guarantee that the probability of infection would be extremely low. In terms of the stadiums, they've taken similar precautions for catering and for the use of the change room attendants. Supersport has come to the party with virtually zero contact between players and commentators or any of the cameramen. So in short, the BSC was kind of a strict environment where the contact with anybody from the outside was minimal. People contracting infections within it was minimal as well. Over and above that, we've kind of got a commitment from Netcare Hospital Group that they would guarantee us a hospital bed should anybody require it. We got guarantees from government that the Australian team will be protected and granted safe passage out of South Africa should the need arise. We invested in technology to ensure that tracking of individuals was monitored on a regular basis. And if there's any close contact that, we could trace contacts quite easily using the technology. We had COVID compliance officers who were going to monitor CCTV cameras on a regular basis. So basically, it was a strict biosecure environment. Everything that Australia had required, we had checked the boxes.
Statement, like the fact that he said that there was a passage back for Australia, etc. That's a massive thing for me. I think that the fact that they said that there will be so many things in place to make Australia happy, that they'll go be above and beyond what they did for England, what they did for Sri Lanka, what they've been doing around the country already, with Pakistan being here for the women's game in Durban, And Potchefstroom is obviously hosting the Momentum One Day Cup, and there's been no positive cases there, and in the women's camp, nothing over there as well. And they're going to go beyond, above and beyond that. They put extra money into that. It was surprising that Australia still pulled out for me. So I know that maybe what Cyril Ramaphosa spoke about, the president spoke about last night, obviously saying that there's another strand that's around of a variant of the virus. Maybe that scared Australia off. But I think that majority of countries will probably face the same thing that South Africa's faced with regards to that. Maybe, I don't know how strict it is in Australia. I haven't spoken to someone from Australia to actually ask them what's going on over there, so that we can obviously compare the two. I just want to let you guys know I'm going to be putting the link to the Patreon in the live chat if you guys want to become a patron and join the community. Aditya, can you give me some insights into that? I mean, listening to the doc, wouldn't you feel safe if you were the CEO of Cricket Australia?
100%. There's no doubt about it. And generally, if you look at the number of international series that have taken place, they've taken place with due diligence, and a lot of work has gone on behind the scenes. But I'll tell you something that I guess hasn't been discussed on the show before. But during the India-Australia tour, for example, about 2 days before, so when the arrangements were made initially, a couple of months before the tour was to start, the Indian players were allowed to have their families with them on tour. 2 days before they were supposed to depart for Australia from Dubai, there was a note that Indian players could not have their families along with them anymore, and so that created a massive crisis. Now, whether that was a product of the Australians just trying to some sort of a disturbance, in the Indian camp, or whether that was a COVID-related issue, because Melbourne had experienced a rise in cases, Adelaide had experienced a rise in cases. So was it because of that? Was it because Cricket Australia is obviously it's accountable to the government, and they have to do what the government says. And Australia's lockdown measures have been among the most stringent in the world. So coming from a public health perspective, I sort of understand that. But in this case, I honestly feel like Cricket Australia is bound by its government's regulations as opposed to anything else, because none of the players have made any comments with respect to COVID over the last 6 months. They seem to be okay. And, there are, the BBL is happening. I haven't heard of anyone talk about COVID in the BBL. So my guess is that it has to be something to do with logistics and government related issues.
Yeah, so we've got a statement from Cricket Australia and South Africa on cricketfanaticsmag.com. You can go over there to read that summary. It's both statements from both sides, so you can get an overall view of both sides, as well as you'll see the doctor's full press conference. That is on the channel, as well as Graham Smith. Now, I think a lot of you guys will actually agree with Graham Smith's sentiments. So this is what he had to say. I'm just going to play you a small clip.
I'm extremely disappointed. We got notified this morning. We were all looking forward to the part of the summer. The 3 test matches against Australia was going to be a big part of the Test Championship. It's always a great rivalry. My own personal experiences aside, it's just a wonderful series for fans and our players to be a part of. So extremely disappointed. I mean, the amount of work that's gone in over the last few weeks into getting this tour underway has been immense. So today, very disappointed to hear the news. We received a call from Cricket Australia this morning around some fears they have on COVID, regarding COVID. And my guess is that I don't think we can solve those fears, no matter what we put in place. I think the work that we were doing was, is putting in place the most stringent BSC bubble that I think is possible. So, we feel from a Cricket South Africa side that we've done everything possible to get the tour underway. But there certainly is that aspect of, not being able to solve some of the fears that Australia have. And really that is why the tour has been cancelled. So it's very disappointing. We feel that we could have pulled it off in an extremely good way, a positive way, following Sri Lanka, and the work that's been put into this BSC, the women's bubble that's happening in Durban, our franchise bubbles. We've shown that we're more than capable of handling it. So we're extremely disappointed that Cricket Australia has taken this perspective.
It's unfortunate because we don't know when we're going to see Test cricket now. South Africa was hoping for a full summer now. I don't know who we can play, who's next. I mean, come on, India, take a trip. Because it's disappointing that this has happened. We obviously wanted to see South Africa take on Australia in our own conditions, like for like, in a way we could say, a proper battle. Help our players get back some form again. So obviously we got Rawalpindi coming up, and a lot of people are going to obviously be asking, what does this mean for the T20 side? The T20 side is going to remain the same. Everybody's going to come back as per usual, as they planned initially. I'm not so sure about the coaching staff. I think perhaps they're going to give us an update tomorrow if some of the coaching staff might stay, like Imam Palcha, etc. So we'll find out that tomorrow. They'll give us a release on that. Maybe we'll hear that also in the press conference, in the pre-match press conference, Aditya. Graham Smith's comments. I mean, you watched the full video. Is there anything out there that really stood out to you that you can relate to the fans?
It's you look at Graham Smith and you feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
His the frustration was just visible on his face.
He was just like, he didn't even look at the camera. He was just right and left out the window.
and at that point, in the clip that we just showed right now, he said that the preparation has been immense. The work that has gone in has been immense. But later on in the press conference, in that video, he says that the work that has gone into this has actually been insane. So that tells you, just that choice of word and just the frustration that he must be feeling, because not having Australia tour South Africa has more ramifications for South Africa than it does for Australia, at least financially. And they were really counting on this tour to get some of that back, because South Africa has lost a fair bit of money, I guess, in this period. We've talked about the struggles a fair bit, so I really feel for Graham Smith, and I know that he's trying his best. He's got relationships around the world that he can sort of leverage to get South Africa back and playing again. But I do hope that another high-profile team, I don't know if India can squeeze in a tour somewhere, that limited overs series that they missed out on last year, I don't know if it can be done this year, if there's enough time to do it, given England and then IPL. But yeah, I'd like to see a complete South African summer, and it's unfortunate that Australia isn't coming. But I hope that they're in talks with perhaps, I don't know, New Zealand or some other high-profile team that could come in and play an entire series.
Yeah, of course. Let's get to some of the comments in the comment section. You guys can get involved with the super chat if you want to also contribute to that. I've answered the one already that you guys asked about the T20 side. I have one over here. How was England's team evasion influential in this? Now, I don't want to be too controversial, but a lot of England's situation was because of England. It wasn't because of South Africa. They breached protocol according to some of the sources that were released. They the ones that breached protocol and played in nets that they weren't supposed to, etc., whatever the case may be. The false negatives just meant that it was a precaution. False negatives just meant that the test couldn't pick up their results, and so they had to take it as positive. But in the end of the day, they weren't positive. The players that they tested false negative. So they left for no reason, actually, to be honest, perfectly honest with you. So that was a bit of a shambles. Sri Lanka was smooth sailing. Nothing massive happened with Sri Lanka. So it's just weird. The whole situation is weird. And I think Australia is taking extra precaution. Maybe they felt that maybe it's not worth the money that they're getting out of the deal or something. I think I saw Corbus maybe saying that. He said that Australia just cancelled the tour because they won't make the amount of money against us as they would against the big three. I don't know. That's a conspiracy that we can maybe put out there. We have Lubabalu saying over here, allow the Aussies to use sandpaper and provide them with free sandpaper. Cricket Australia showed over CSA financial losses for pulling out. Cricket Australia are pansies, apparently, according to Jans van Rensburg. That is not the talk about the Small Cricket Fanatics magazine. Well, do we invite Zimbabwe or West Indies to fill this gap? That's another opportunity, maybe. I mean, all of these things have been put in place. I'm sure that another team can come down here and obviously benefit from the strict things that they put in place, or the stringent things that they put in place. I mean, it's just strange that the way they did it, man, because for South Africa to come back the way they did, obviously they thought that the series is going to go on. They wouldn't have planned and booked flights and all of that if they didn't think so. Denishan saying strange one from Australia as they put a nail in their WTC coffin, even though the WTC format is the biggest joke of the country. Of the century. I'm reading badly today, poorly. Gee whiz. Too much reading today, that's the problem. It was today, actually, Aditya, my day. If I'm just going to talk about it and rant a little bit to you guys that you are here, I have an audience to talk to. So basically, I get up as per usual and start my work and my planning for the series. But then obviously we had the Australian news broke, and then I was busy doing some work as well for a client, and then I had a meeting, and then straight from that, while I was busy with that work, the Cricket Australia news broke, and then Nick Nokia's video came out, and then it was the Gravesmith stuff, and then it was the doctor, and then it was Cricket South Africa's statement, and then the One Day Cup was called off. So there was so much that has happened after each other. So it was a crazy day today. And it's ultimately, that's the life of cricket journalism and cricket media, I guess. You saw Andrik Nokia's presser. Anything that jumped out for you over there?
Just how positive the mood in the South African camp is. They weren't. Generally, what happens is that you prepare really hard, and we all know about the demons battling most teams when they come to South Africa to subcontinent conditions. And in this case, even though there was a trial by spin in the first Test match, they didn't seem as scarred as they might have been, as I might have seen South Africans in previous series, against India. And South Africa and Faf du Plessis openly used the word scars. So yeah, it seemed pretty positive. Rassie was positive yesterday. Andrik was positive today, and they seem to be going okay. And I'm quite confident of a solid bounce back in the second Test match, for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. I just want to make this one. Builders Warehouse must be devastated by the decision their number one Aussie customer won't be coming to RSA to stock up a sandpaper. The sandpaper jokes are just going to go and go and go. Dex asking, can the Proteas win the second Test versus Pakistan? I actually do think so, and I'm quite positive about this one. A lot more positive about this one than the first one. Remember, I thought my prediction was that we will draw the first Test. I didn't think we'd win it. Yeah. I wasn't confident that we'd win it. Alas, we lost it quite significantly. But I was always leaning towards a win in Rawalpindi. Obviously, the conditions. Andrik Nokia actually laughed when he was asked the question about the conditions. He said you can't really tell right now. He's going to have to see when it's closer to the game on game day to make that decision and to speak about it. on the momentum one day cup game being cancelled, it's a shame to see the Knights and the Titans only being able to play one game in the entire series and have no chance to play a place in the final, play for a place in the final. I think that the fact that there's no reserve day and there is no plan if any of those games get rained out, especially when before the tournament started, the weather didn't look that great beforehand. So it was quite weird that they didn't have anything in place to stop that from happening. It was quite unfair for some players to be some teams to be kicked out. Unfortunate for the Cobras. They had a very bad start, but they fought back really well. It's difficult at the moment. They have a lot of new players in the side that's trying to obviously settle in. I would really like to see Ashwell Prince succeed at the Cobras, and I think he needs another year just to allow these players to develop, etc. Let's continue with the test talk. Boucher ain't changing the top 6. I agree with you. I don't think he is. I think continuity is very important for him at the moment, and I think he trusts this top 6 as his best top 6. The number 7 position is the one that's going to be the most intriguing, whether he's going to go with Vian Mulder or George Linde as a second spinner, because he might drop a seamer for someone like Tabrei Shamsi, although we don't know if he's going to play 2 spinners or not, or we're going to go with a more seamer attacker than have Keshav Maharaj and maybe trust one of the other guys as part-time spinners as a second spinner. But we don't know how Rawalpindi is going to act out, and we don't know whether Pakistan will try to change it in any way. I don't know what they can do right now to change it. Maybe cut the grass a lot thinner and a lot, obviously a lot drier and dry it out a bit. Maybe that's the only way I think that they can change it in such a short space of time. But we'll have to wait and see what they say and what some of the Pakistan pundits say about it. We have someone here from Pakistan saying Rawalpindi Stadium is good for seamers. The second test is going in favor of South Africa. You think so, Aditya?
I do, definitely. One thing I would warn against, though, and this is something that has been an underlying theme in the press conferences leading up to the series and even during, is that in preparing for the conditions, sometimes you have to think about what the opposition is comfortable with and not. So when Boucher said that it's evident that the Pakistanis are preparing for spinning conditions, he introduced 2 spinners into the team, which was fine, which was a fair decision. But during the game, it was quite evident that the Pakistanis were more rattled by pace as opposed to spin. So somewhere tactically, they should have continued along those lines. I remember this one game in the World T20 against Pakistan. It was happening in India, and they're playing on a turner of sorts, and Ravichandran Ashwin did not bowl his quota of 4 overs. So when the commentators pressed MS Dhoni on it after the match, he said that Ashwin was bowling really well, but the Pakistanis were also most comfortable facing Ashwin. So in that moment, I felt that I don't want to give them what they want. So that's somewhere I feel like South Africa needs to employ that brand of tactics.
I see what you mean.
And think a bit more without the burden of planning. Sometimes you need to veer away from that a little bit.
But don't you think that whether Pakistan is comfortable against spin or not, the variation that Shamsi brings is maybe some X factor, something different?
It's worth a shot. It's worth a shot, but I would encourage Quinton de Kock and I guess the leadership group in the team to be more proactive and just think more while the game is on. I don't want the South Africans to really not be spontaneous on the field.
Yeah.
I thought that was somewhere they were, when you get, and again, MS Dhoni says this a lot. He says it's great to plan, but you don't want to be bound by that plan so much that you can't really get out of it. And somewhere I feel like that happened in Karachi.
Yeah. I just want to answer the question again. I think you guys came on a little bit later, but the players that were originally from the test side that are going to go back home are still going to go back home. The test squad, the T20 squad that you guys saw initially, let me see if I still have it over here. Yes, I do. This is the T20 squad, and it's going to remain the T20 squad for this particular series. They are not going to change the squad or let anybody come back. So the players over here are going to stay in the squad. So unfortunately, you guys are not going to see the likes of Faf, Quentin de Kock, and those guys that you're hoping to see. Anich Nokia, KG Rabada, all of them. I think the only guy over here that's from the test squad will be Tabraiz Shamsi and George Linder and Lutosi Pamla that will stay with the side, of course. So guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. We're obviously going to do some previews of the test. I'm going to try to get a special guest for tomorrow for a preview of the test. So that we can talk to, and then obviously we're going to do a Cricket Fanatics preview as well of the test. Aditya, I hope you can join that too. It will be excellent for us to talk about obviously Boucher and everything that took place in his press conference tomorrow. That will be the norm as per usual when we're with us. I will keep you posted, Aditya, if we're gonna do that tomorrow. It depends on if I can get this other interview or not. But other than that, we'll obviously do a review before the first day. And talk about everything, and let's get it unpacked and talk about the conditions as much as we can. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. I really hope that you enjoyed having this conversation with us and being in the chat with us. Don't forget to like. Please like this video, smash that like button, because we'll get into other people's recommended feeds, and it helps with the algorithms on YouTube. Get in the comment section, because we like to hear your thoughts, and share this with all your friends and family so that more people can subscribe to this channel. We're growing. We're getting closer and closer to that 2,000 mark. Help us on this 2,000 subscriber journey. We've been working really hard to do that and get there. If you guys really want to, and you want new fresh ideas and content and themed content, we have a magazine, a fully digital magazine that can be on all your platforms, your laptop, your iPad, your phone. It's free. So you can just download the magazine, subscribe to the magazine. You can get all the previous issues for free, including the latest one, which is coming out on Monday. And the link is on the screen and in the description. For all your updates, you can go to cricketfanaticsmag.com. We have a Pakistan series tab for you to see everything that's related to the Pakistan series. But our homepage is also filled with other news stories, like this news story of Australia that has cancelled the tour. If you guys want to join us on Patreon, please do so. Join us and become part of this community. I want to build a family and a community here with you. And by joining the Patreon, you will be helping us create better content, create more engaging content, get better guests on the show, etc., etc., etc. And you'll be able to help me, obviously, give some incentives back to the guys that have produced for so long content for me as well. So please get involved with the Patreon and help us on this journey. And you get special benefits as well, special exclusive content. We might be making merchandise down the line, and you'll be able to join the Discord server and be in straight communications with us and our writers. If you guys have a small business, or you have a big business and you're looking to make sales online, or you're looking to promote your business, even if your business is offline, we have a free tutorial on this channel. And you can get in contact with us at cricketfanaticsmag@gmail.com if you want us to help you promote your business. Thanks a lot, Aditya, for coming on the show. Thanks to all the fans that have tuned in. And we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another daily video. Take care.